Princess Anne was never the soft, storybook kind of royal. From the start, she came across as something much tougher, a woman shaped by duty, discipline, and real service, and that is why she became one of the hardest working members of the royal family. Around palace circles, one brutal line has summed up this whole dispute better than anything else. The Princess Royal is not a gift bag for the Parker Bowles family. That stinging remark, whispered through Buckingham Palace and repeated by royal watchers, has helped define one of the most explosive internal tensions of King Charles III's reign. At the centre of this storm is not money, estates, or jewels. It is a title so rare and so loaded with meaning that only a small number of women have held it since the 17th century. The uproar reportedly began when talk spread that Queen Camilla, after the coronation and amid questions about legacy, had raised the idea that the title of Princess Royal could be reconsidered in a more modern way. And the name said to be tied to that idea caused instant shock. Laura Lopes, Camilla's daughter from her first marriage to Andrew Parker Bowles. Laura has long been seen as a quiet figure on the edge of royal life, known more for the art world than for public duty. She may be linked to the royal household through her mother, but she has never been part of the working royal structure. Even so, the idea of her name being floated for such a title was enough to alarm traditionalists right away. Camilla's reported reasoning was that the monarchy is entering a new age and that her children now stand closer to the royal household than ever before. In that view, they should be seen differently and perhaps honoured in a way that reflects that new proximity to the throne. Critics, however, say that argument is as daring as it is shaky, because the title of Princess Royal has never been treated like a casual household favour. That is why this row has become much bigger than a simple debate about names. For Camilla's critics, it looks like an effort to push the Parker Bowles line deeper into Windsor tradition. For years, Charles and Camilla's marriage was viewed as the end of a long and controversial royal chapter. Now, some see this reported move as an attempt to turn survival into victory for her own children, and that is where the tension gets much sharper. What makes the whole thing even more shocking is the timing. The title of Princess Royal is not vacant. It is already held by Princess Anne, the king's sister, and one of the most respected working royals in the entire family. Under long-standing custom, there can only be one Princess Royal at a time, and the title is held for life. So even suggesting Laura Lopes while Anne is alive, active, and still carrying a huge public workload has been seen by many as a major insult. For Anne's supporters, this is not just awkward. It feels like a direct slight against a woman who has spent decades earning her place the hard way. Anne is not about sparkle, fuss, or image. She represents old-school Windsor toughness. This is the woman who famously faced a gunman during the 1974 kidnapping attempt and answered with the unforgettable line, "Not bloody likely." This is also the woman who trades palace formality for muddy boots at Gatcombe Park without acting like the work is beneath her. That is why so many people see any comparison between Anne and Laura Lopes as a bridge too far. Laura may be respected in her own career, but she has never carried out public duty for the crown on anything close to Anne's level. Anne has been known to perform hundreds of engagements a year, often without drama or self-promotion. Laura has lived privately. To place those two women anywhere near the same title is, for many, simply absurd. The backlash also comes from the history of the title itself. Princess Royal was created by King Charles I in 1642 for his daughter Mary. It was modelled on the French Madame Royale and was meant to signal the highest female honour within royal bloodline tradition. It was never meant to be casually reshaped to fit modern family politics, and that is why so many insiders reacted so strongly to the very idea. Critics also point to precedent, and the precedent is hard to ignore. When King George VI became king, his daughter, the future Elizabeth II, was the eldest daughter of the sovereign, yet she did not become Princess Royal because the previous holder, Princess Mary, was still alive. The system held firm, no shortcuts, no jumping the line, and no special exceptions. That history matters, because it shows how tightly this title has always been guarded. Anne herself had to wait years before Queen Elizabeth II finally granted her the title in 1987. So when people hear Laura Lopes mentioned in that same space, traditionalists do not hear harmless modernization. They hear a challenge to centuries of custom, direct lineage, and royal symbolism. To them, this is not just a favour being requested, it is the rules themselves being pushed. Prince William is also said to view this matter very seriously. Reports suggest he sees it as more than just a family disagreement, because Princess Charlotte is widely seen as the natural future holder of the title after Anne. Any attempt to blur the meaning of Princess Royal now could affect the path of the title later, and that is why William is said to have taken a firm view of the issue. His position, according to Palace Talk, is clear. The Princess Royal title is tied to blood, continuity, and a lifetime of duty, not to marriage, proximity, or the preferences of a queen consort. That is why Camilla's reported move may have backfired badly. In trying to raise her daughter's status, she may have ended up uniting the wider Windsor camp against her, and that is where this story takes on a much colder tone. What some see here is not just a mother trying to support her child. They see ambition turning into a political push, with the dignity of the crown caught in the middle. On one side stands a queen consort, reportedly trying to open the door wider for her own family. On the other stands Princess Anne, backed by royal tradition, Prince William, and the future claim many already associate with Princess Charlotte. This is why the issue no longer feels like simple etiquette. It feels like a fight over lineage, legitimacy, and the very meaning of royal honour. While whispers of Camilla's reported Laura plan move through royal drawing rooms, Anne continues with the same hard rhythm of work she has kept for decades. That contrast only makes the clash even sharper. To understand why Anne's defenders react so fiercely, you have to look past the title and look at the woman herself. Anne does not just hold the title. In many ways, she defines it. While more modern royals may be accused of choosing the most glamorous appearances, Anne's schedule is known for its hard, unflashy reality. Agricultural events, prison visits, regional duties, and serious working engagements that bring little glamour but plenty of responsibility. In 2023 alone, she reportedly outpaced even the king in official engagements. That kind of record is not public relations. It is commitment. For Anne, being Princess Royal is not a style choice. It is a life of service, and that is exactly why traditionalists protect the title so fiercely. To them, Laura Lopes lives a life of privacy and choice, while Anne has lived a life of duty and obligation. That difference is everything. Anne's reputation for toughness also comes from sacrifice. She refused royal titles for her own children, Peter Phillips and Zara Tyndall, because she wanted them to build their own lives without leaning on inherited status. That decision now adds a sharp irony to the current drama. While Anne stepped away from extra privilege for her children, Camilla is accused by critics of reaching for more privilege for hers. That contrast hits hard inside palace circles. One mother stripped titles away so her children could grow with independence. The other is accused of trying to secure a major title her daughter did not earn through royal service. Whether that reading is fair or not, it is clearly the version of events that has fueled so much anger behind the scenes. So, as this palace Cold War deepens, Anne remains silent, and that silence says plenty. She does not need to defend her record. Her record already speaks for her. Reports say that when Camilla raised the subject with William, he stayed calm and returned to the one principle that keeps the monarchy standing: lineage. He understood the danger immediately. To allow Laura Lopes, from the Parker Bowles line, to move toward a title reserved for the best of Windsor blood would make the crown look less like an institution and more like a family brand handing out promotions. And that is exactly why the old royal establishment reacted so sharply. To them, Camilla's reported suggestion was not reform, not progress, and not modernization. It was a step too far, one that clashed with history, protocol, and the hard logic of succession itself. In the eyes of title experts, heraldic authorities, and palace traditionalists, the idea did not just offend the family, it pushed into dangerous territory, where symbolism, bloodline, and royal structure collide. And that is why they saw the Queen Consort's reported suggestion as nothing less than a constitutional hallucination. What really hurt Camilla's reported plan was not a public backlash at first, but the quiet resistance building inside palace walls. To cover what many saw as a serious misunderstanding of royal tradition, the council reportedly drafted a briefing note for the king reminding him of the 1642 mandate of Charles I. Their point was sharp and simple: the title of Princess Royal was created to mirror the French Madame Royale, and to honour the direct bloodline of the sovereign, not family connections gained through marriage. One senior court figure was even overheard saying, "A queen consort may influence the king's heart, but she cannot rewrite the laws of the College of Arms." That line spread fast because it captured the whole problem. To give such a title to a Parker Bowles, critics argued, would not modernise the monarchy. It would blur it. It would turn the Windsor family tree into a maze where rank, bloodline and royal meaning all get lost. While William is said to be handling the politics, Princess Anne reportedly has her own colder way of reminding Camilla who truly understands the working side of the firm. Anne is famous for her sharp memory and fierce eye for detail. During one internal briefing involving the Royal Victorian Order, she reportedly spotted a small mistake buried deep in a document prepared by Camilla's staff. Her dry response was said to be, "Is there something missing, or am I simply reading a different version of reality?" It was a quiet jab, but it landed hard. That moment mattered because it reminded everyone that Anne does not just attend royal events. She studies them, questions them, and masters them. She knows the history, the logistics, and the effect of what the monarchy does. That is the real contrast at the centre of this drama. Camilla may reportedly want the glamour of the title for Laura, but Anne proves every day that the labour behind the title is something very different. It takes discipline, mastery, and years of service. The council's strongest historical argument came when they brought up Princess Victoria, the eldest daughter of Queen Victoria. She took the Princess Royal title onto the international stage and turned it into a symbol of British influence and seriousness. The council reportedly argued that the title is tied to the sovereign's bloodline by history, tradition, and meaning. They also pointed to a hard rule that had survived through time. Even when a king had several daughters, only the eldest daughter could be considered. That made their question devastating. If the title did not go to younger daughters like Princess Margaret, why would it go to a stepdaughter outside the direct line? When whispers of Camilla's reported title plan reached the press, the public reaction was fierce. Many people who had watched Anne for decades driving herself, repeating old coats and working without fuss, reportedly saw the Laura Lopes idea as grasping and tone-deaf. #HandsOffAnne began to trend, and one columnist summed up the mood with a brutal line: "Camilla may have the king's ear, but Anne has the people's respect." That line stuck because it felt true to many observers. Another phrase spread quickly too: "You can buy a tiara, you can marry a king, but you cannot produce a princess royal." To royal traditionalists, that title is forged in duty, not written into existence through marriage. And as the palace Cold War between Camilla's reported ambition and the Windsor Old Guard grew sharper, the centre of the fight moved from the present to the future. If Anne is the iron fortress guarding the title today, Princess Charlotte is increasingly being seen as the future of it tomorrow. To many in the royal council and to a big part of the public, Charlotte is not just another royal child. She is seen as the natural next symbol of the princess royal mantle, both by blood and by image. While George carries the burden of the future crown and Louis brings the family spark, Charlotte is often viewed as the steady centre. Observers have pointed to her eye for protocol, the way she corrects her brothers, her calm during long ceremonies, and the way she seems to understand royal presence without forcing it. Palace insiders reportedly do not see that as ordinary childhood confidence. They see what some call the Elizabethan spark, a steady quality that reminds them of Queen Elizabeth II. That is exactly why Charlotte has become such a powerful answer to Camilla's reported plan. Unlike the Laura proposal, which critics say treats the title like a decorative upgrade for a private citizen, Charlotte is being raised under the pressure of public duty. She is learning that being a princess is not only about clothes, waves, and palace moments. It is about discipline, control, and carrying the weight of history on your shoulders. That is why so many traditionalists see a straight line from Anne to Charlotte. One of the strongest points raised against Camilla's reported idea is the visual force of Charlotte's lineage. Royal watchers have often noted her striking resemblance to the young Princess Elizabeth, from the Windsor eyes to the set of her jaw, and even the style of her wave. In a monarchy that depends so heavily on continuity, that resemblance matters. Advisors reportedly argue that the crown survives in part because it looks unbroken. To place Laura Lopes, who has no blood link to the House of Windsor, into such a title would break that visual spell. One senior advisor was quoted as saying, "You look at Charlotte and you see the history of Britain. You look at the alternatives and you see a well-meaning socialite. The Crown is a theatre of continuity. We cannot cast a supporting actor in the lead role." It was a harsh line, but it showed how brutally Laura's case was being judged behind the scenes. Charlotte's appeal also draws from another source many palace figures respect deeply: the Middleton work ethic. Under Catherine's guidance, Charlotte is said to be growing up with discipline and usefulness, not just polish. That mirrors Anne's life almost perfectly. Anne turned away from shallow royal sparkle and embraced the grind of real public service. Charlotte, many believe, is being prepared the same way, for substance over style. That is what makes this whole battle so sharp. Critics say Camilla wants to lift Laura into a place she did not earn, while William and Catherine are building Charlotte's future through patience, service, and preparation. Palace insiders reportedly say the council has already started quietly future-proofing the title by keeping it linked in the public imagination to Charlotte. That move made Camilla's reported push look not only greedy, but outdated. Their strategy was devastatingly simple. If Anne were to die before Charlotte was ready, the title should remain vacant and wait for the proper heir. That argument boxed Camilla in from every side. If she kept pushing Laura, she would no longer be seen as merely challenging Anne. She would be seen as trying to rob Charlotte, one of the most popular young royals, of what many already view as her natural place. By the spring of 2026, the palace Cold War had entered an even harsher legal stage. If the earlier phase was driven by family tension and public anger, this phase belonged to the heralds of the College of Arms and the constitutional advisors around the crown. Their task was not to gossip, it was to shut the idea down with law and history. Camilla's reported argument was that Laura Lopes, as the legal daughter of the king's household through marriage, should be eligible for an honorary title matching her new status. The council's answer was devastating. They reminded the king that Princess Royal was designed as the English version of Madame Royale, a title of the blood, not a social badge, not a courtesy, not a flexible household honor. One constitutional lawyer reportedly said in a closed-door meeting, "The crown is a living organism of heredity. If we begin granting biological titles to marital additions, we are no longer a monarchy. We are a social club, and social clubs do not command the loyalty of a commonwealth." That warning changed the tone completely. It made Camilla's reported idea look not just ambitious, but dangerous. Then came what many saw as the final wall. The Garter King of Arms, the most senior herald in England, is said to have delivered a sealed opinion to King Charles III. The message was reportedly icy and clear. The title may be recreated when vacant, but only within the strict logic of royal bloodline tradition. Laura Lopes is the daughter of Andrew Parker Bowles, and marriage to the king does not change that fact. That legal wall left Camilla with almost nowhere to go without creating a much bigger crisis. And beyond the male-dominated council, another quiet judgment was forming among senior aristocratic women who had served the monarchy for years. To them, Camilla's move was not just ambitious or tone-deaf. It looked like a betrayal of the sisterhood of duty. Princess Anne became the fixed point in this whole royal storm, the woman the old guard still looks to when they want proof that duty means more than status. She famously refused titles for her own children because she believed the system had to stay disciplined, protected, and respected. That is what makes the contrast so brutal. Anne pushed privilege away from her children so they could grow with character, while Camilla, critics say, tried to pull privilege closer so her daughter could rise through convenience. That moral divide turned the Laura Project into a social outcast in the upper tiers of British society, at Royal Ascot, at garden parties, and across those polished circles where old rules still matter. The cold shoulder aimed at the Parker Bowles ambition reportedly became impossible to ignore. Camilla found herself growing more isolated, a queen whose personal wish had smashed straight into the granite wall of Windsor tradition. King Charles III was then left in an agonizing position. On one side stood his loyalty to Camilla and his desire to honor her family. On the other stood his sacred role as guardian of the crown and protector of its integrity. The council reportedly made the danger plain. If he granted Laura the title, he risked a lasting fracture with Prince William, who saw the move as an insult to Charlotte's future. He also risked the silent anger of Princess Anne, whose 50 years of service still help keep the working monarchy standing. So the ending of this royal clash did not come with shouting, slammed doors, or some dramatic showdown in a gilded room. It came the Windsor way, with the cold and devastating triumph of tradition over ambition. As the dust settled around Queen Camilla's Laura Project, the monarchy emerged not weakened but reinforced, and the title of Princess Royal looked even more protected than before. The battle over that title became a test separating those who chase the crown for glitter from those who carry it like a burden of duty. By the middle of 2026, insiders said the pressure inside Buckingham Palace had shifted completely. Camilla, ever the survivor, reportedly recognized that her effort to elevate Laura Lopes had hit an immovable object. Prince William, the royal council, and the lingering force of Queen Elizabeth's values still living through royal precedent. Reports claimed the Laura Project was quietly shelved during a private weekend at Balmoral, the same place long tied to discipline, tradition, and family reckoning. King Charles was even said to have put the matter in stark terms. To give Laura a title she had not earned would not make her stronger. It would make her a target. That logic, according to insiders, ended the battle. Camilla's retreat was quiet, but total, and the grand distinction she had supposedly wanted for her daughter was replaced by a modest private place within the family, far from the weight of a 400-year-old title. In the end, the Parker Bowles line would remain in the wider royal orbit, but not inside Windsor's ancient core. And through all of it, Anne never complained in public, never leaked a grievance, and never broke her stride. Her answer to the threat was simple. She worked harder. In the weeks after the council's verdict, she reportedly pushed through a punishing schedule, carrying out 14 engagements in 5 days across 3 time zones. That is where the poetry of this story lives. While Camilla's side was said to be worrying about status, Anne was focused on stewardship. That is why public affection for Anne reportedly surged even higher. She was seen back at Gatcombe Park in her familiar mud-splattered Barber jacket, tending to horses and moving through life exactly as she always had. She became, in her own way, a different kind of people's princess. Not the glamorous one, but the one of farmers, volunteers, sailors, and workers. She proved that Princess Royal is not a trophy to be claimed. It is a calling to be lived. By the time the controversy faded, Anne and the title Princess Royal had become almost impossible to separate. The very idea of anyone else holding it, especially a Parker Bowles, began to sound ridiculous even in theory. And once the path was cleared of step royal ambition, attention turned to Princess Charlotte. Charlotte emerged from this fight not just as a child of the royal house, but as its guarded future. Palace insiders reportedly began speaking of her as the natural next holder of the title. In her, they saw the perfect mix of 3 eras: the Elizabethan gaze and discipline, Anne's no-nonsense toughness and physical courage, and Catherine's warmth and relatability that connects with a modern generation. That blend made Charlotte look less like a possibility and more like destiny. One public moment captured that feeling perfectly. At a memorial service, Charlotte was seen adjusting Prince George's lapel, a small gesture of correction and care that reminded many watchers of Anne's own role as a steady protector inside the family. A senior courtier reportedly summed it up with one cutting line: "The monarchy does not need to invent new titles for new people. It simply needs to wait for Charlotte to grow into the one that has been waiting for her since 1642. That is the deeper lesson at the center of this whole saga. The Windsor system survives because it is built on continuity, not convenience. It is, as Anne once described royal life, a goldfish bowl, but the glass is made from 1,000 years of precedent. The symmetry of the story is striking. In 1642, King Charles I created the title for a beloved daughter. In 1987, Queen Elizabeth II granted it to a daughter who had proven her worth through long years of service. And in 2026, Prince William reportedly defended that same title for his daughter, making sure the line of blood and the line of duty stayed unbroken. Camilla's ambition, while understandable on a human level, was presented by critics as a basic category error. She tried to use an ancient tool of bloodline and rank to satisfy a modern instinct for family favoritism. The council's victory was therefore seen as more than a personal defeat. It was a victory for the deeper logic of monarchy itself, the stubborn belief that some things are simply not for sale. And so the final image of this drama feels almost ceremonial. Somewhere in the quiet archives of the College of Arms, a heavy ledger closes. The entry for Princess Royal remains unchanged, held by Anne Elizabeth Alice Louise. And below it, in the notes of the future, one name waits in the wings: Charlotte Elizabeth Diana. The lesson of this whole battle is simple. Laura Lopes may have the wealth and comfort of a queen's daughter, but she will never have the grit, discipline, and steel soul required to walk in Anne's boots. That privilege belongs only to the direct line. As the sun sets over Windsor, the crown remains secure. The Iron Princess still holds her throne of duty, and the young future waits in the wings, ready to carry the torch of Princess Royal into the next century. And before you go, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if you enjoyed this piece, and subscribe for more royal drama and deep dive stories.